I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be alone. Yeah, and I hope and pray that I'll, but today I'm just a bill.
Good morning, this is Bill Scher on the Liberal Oasis radio show. Feel free to share this show later on today with your friends and your enemies by going to LiberalOasis.com for audio podcast and video casts. And later in the week, Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m., check me out at Northampton's Drinking Liberally, which takes place every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. at the Northampton Brewery. And this week, it seems that I need to talk about the most insidious thing that has happened to our nation in the last 6 years. An advertisement. MoveOn.org.
I thought the ad was disgusting, and I felt like the ad was an attack not only on General Petraeus, but on the U.S. military. I was disappointed that not more leaders in the Democrat Party spoke out strongly against that kind of ad.
Was that the ad that the Swift boaters did against John Kerry that was so disgusting? Was it that one? Because that was really terrible. I'm sure Bush was very outraged when that happened. No, this was the MoveOn.org ad that dared to question that someone in the military brass would give false information to Congress, which, by the way, is against the law. You're not allowed to lie to Congress. That is actually illegal. And there was an article in the Washington Post just before this ad came out that talked about all the different ways that Petraeus and the White House were cherry-picking and distorting the statistics of what's happening in Iraq to give a false picture of what's happening on the ground. And so MoveOn thought, like a lot of folks did, that this was a big part of the story, that there was this huge PR effort around General Petraeus, who should be a public servant. You and I pay his salary. His job is not to be Bush's wingman. His job, when it comes to providing public information, is to give the straight story. So we, in a democracy, can make informed decisions about what to do. So instead, as it turns out, he cherry-picked stats, and this is not just him by himself, this is part of a White House operation, to give a false picture of what was happening in Iraq and make the surge appear to be a success. And so MoveOn.org said, you know, that's not cool. People should know about this. People should know that the books are being cooked. And so they had an ad. And now because of the word choices they used in that ad, there are things this week that I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the up to 20 people dead because of Blackwater, the private corporation that serves as an appendage to our military in Iraq, and that no laws appear to govern their actions. So when they kill people, when they kill civilians, no one is held accountable. There have been scores of these shooting incidents that the Iraqi government has had no ability to prosecute anybody, and our government chooses not to prosecute them either. No Iraqi private contractor, some might say mercenary, has ever been arrested or held accountable legally for these sorts of actions. At best, they get let go. They get sent home. You kill somebody, you get sent home. That is what happens. So I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about how the Iraqi government initially said that Blackwater can't operate here anymore. This is our country. We're a sovereign country. You're not allowed to work here anymore. 24 hours later, they said, second thoughts about that. Why did that happen? Who gave them these second thoughts? That speaks to, is this really a sovereign nation, or are we occupying a foreign land and dictating to them what their laws should be? That speaks to the whole question of what our policy objective is in Iraq. So we're not talking about how books are being cooked, how we're getting a false story of what's happening on the ground, and we're not talking about how the notion that we're there to liberate and to democratize a country is being totally exposed as being just another occupation. Hey, wait a second. I am talking about these things. How did that happen? I changed the subject, which is what the Republicans tried to do by focusing on an ad instead of focusing on the failed policy. That's what they do. They manufacture outrage. No one on the right is really upset. I assure you that General Petraeus' feelings are not hurt by someone calling him a name in an ad. He's been in the line of fire. I think he can handle an ad. But they want to manufacture outrage. This is conservative correctness. There's a lot of whining about political correctness. You're politically correct. I can't tell racist jokes in the workplace. You're trying to stifle debate. I can't racially profile these Muslims anymore because of your political correctness. It's all bogus. Because there's this whole conservative correctness outrage machine that is designed to squelch debate like this. Let's not talk about actual policy, actual substance, actual unnecessary deaths. Let's talk about an ad because that's better for me. Hey, they got a right to do that. If they want to try to, shift debate, that's their business. What has been particularly upsetting this week is the number of Democrats that have jumped on this bandwagon out of fear. Before this, Democrats have generally said, hey, I'd love to change the war, change the course in Iraq. I'd love to end the war. I'd love to end the occupation. But I need 60 votes to break a filibuster. I need 67 votes in the Senate to override a veto. We need to build pressure on Republicans to do that. Well, who's trying to build that pressure? It's the 3 million members of MoveOn.org and their allies that have been going out across the country trying to generate that pressure. So if you're a Democrat, hey, maybe you don't like the ad. I'm not telling you to say something you don't believe. You might not like that ad. You might not like the fact that they said General Petraeus. Hey, that's your opinion. That's fine. But the larger goal here, we all agree, I assume most of you listening agree, certainly the Democratic Party agrees, is to end the occupation. So don't go dumping on people on your team. It was very easy to say, hey, I didn't like the language of that ad, but the underlying point remains the same, that our generals should be giving us straight information, not phony information, when they come to testify before Congress and the public. How hard was that? Not hard. Instead, you had this week 72 senators, including 22 Democrats, voting to chastise MoveOn in a Senate bill. So not only that they didn't like the ad, but that they attacked the entire U.S. Armed Forces. You criticize the political statements of one person, that somehow is attacking the entire military and all the troops. That is ludicrous. And it's because Democrats are getting rolled on stuff like this is why they're not succeeding in building the proper pressure on Republicans that could be built, because the public is almost uniformly against this war and this occupation. After this commercial break, we'll be talking to foreign policy mover and shaker Steve Clemens from thewashingtonnote.com. This is Bill Scher on the Liberal Oasis radio show, WHMP. News, information, and the arts. Check this out on LiberalOasis.com later. And don't forget, Northampton's drinking liberally at the Northampton Brewery, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.